On the show today, we explore Nigeria's shifting political terrain as opposition heavyweights rally under the African Democratic Congress to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2027. Plus, the International Monetary Fund issues a wake-up call to the government, urging swift action on food security, infrastructure, and security reforms, and that's to safeguard the nation's fragile economy. This is Standpoint. I am Precious Amayu. Now, in a major political shakeup ahead of the 2027 elections, prominent opposition figures have united under the African Democratic Congress in a bid to unseat President Bola Tinubu. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party's Peter Obi, and former Senate President David Mark are among top political figures who have adopted the African Democratic Congress as the new face of opposition. Unveiled in Abuja, the coalition named David Mark as interim national chairman, Rauf Aregbesola as secretary. But the move has sparked controversy, with ADC's 2023 presidential candidate Dumebi Kachiku and others accusing the group of hijacking the party. Despite internal resistance, the coalition says its mission goes beyond politics. It aims to rescue Nigeria from what it calls deepening poverty, insecurity, and democratic decline under the APC-led government. Meanwhile, the ruling APC dismissed the coalition as retired politicians, insisting it remains confident of victory in 2027. PDP's leadership has also warned defectors of sanctions, but party heavyweights like Atiku and Mark continue to back the new alliance. Now let's speak more on this. We're joined now by the Delta State, I think is the Director of Public Communication Bureau in Delta State. He is Dr. Fred Ogenesive. Good to have you join us. I want to correct that. He is the Delta State Orientation and Communications Bureau Director General. Dr. Ken Ogenesive, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Precious.
And also we are joined by the national spokesperson for the Coalition of United Political Parties, Comrade Mark Adebayo. Good to have you join us as well.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So let me begin with you, Dr. Ken. A few months ago, we saw the PDP, Dr. Fred, rather, a few months ago, we saw the APC collapse its structure, or rather the PDP collapse its structure into the APC, and many thought that that was going to be a gain for the APC in the 2027 election, saying that, look, one of the states in the South has now turned APC. But it looks like what you brought to the table might not be enough, looking at this recent coalition.
Well, Precious, I think that our great party, the APC, is still in good standing. Those defections you saw and the coming together of most governors in the South and some in the North supporting Mr. President is a good omen for 2027 general elections. They are coming on board because they know that the president is managing the economy very, very well, and then is leading with strong determination to take Nigeria forward. And this is a very fundamental issue. It's not about coalition, it's about focus and leadership. And President Tinubu is providing that leadership for Nigeria. And I think majority of Nigerians are happy with his administration because what he met on ground is was a mess, and he's trying to clean up those mess, we can see. He also took a very bold step in removing that fuel subsidy that has become a problem for us in the past. More governors are now getting more money to develop their states. And very soon, we are going to be in good standing again economically and politically. So the coalition coming on board is their constitutional right to do so. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and the rest of them, they are quite in order. That is their wish. But for us in the PDP, the coalition is not a problem for us.
When you say that, and I'm staying with you, Dr. Fred, when you say that the president is doing well. I mean, leadership is working and Nigerians are in support of this administration. You do realize that one of a major messaging for this coalition is the prevailing economic circumstances, and that is resonating with some Nigerians. In fact, I've seen young people, now pulling, trying to galvanize other young people to join this coalition. I mean, shouldn't that be worrying or worrisome for the APC?
I quite agree that the economy is a major problem. But you also know that Mr. President is not the cause of the economic problem. These are issues that have been on ground many years before he came in. And the fuel subsidy removal, the implication is that we are buying fuel at, a more higher rate. And then the liberalization of the exchange rate has also affected, the economy in a way. But as the president is quite focused on these issues, we have seen that the price of fuel, petrol, per liter is dropping. It used to be 1,800. It's now about 901 naira, 910 naira. And I know that by the time our refineries are working in maximum capacity, coupled with the fuel that Dangote refinery is pumping out, that issue will be resolved and the inflation will be dropping. At the same time, the dollar is also taking shape. We are gaining strength every day. And Mr. President is working very hard to fix the issue of the forex. And once the fuel and forex is fixed between now and the next 1 year or 2 years, Nigerians will be happy to have Mr. President come back in landslide.
And 1 year or 2 years is very close to the election. I hope Nigerians are patient. But I wanted to let me bring in Comrade. I'll come back to you, Dr. Fred, in just a moment. I want to bring in Comrade Mark into the conversation. Comrade, a few weeks ago or months ago, when there was talk about this coalition, there were also comments coming from the COP, which is a coalition of united political parties, as though it was also willing to be part of the coalition. I wanted to just first confirm from you, if you are part of this coalition. I know a COP is a makeup of, or the umbrella body for political parties in the country, but are some of your members part of this coalition? And then what do you make of it, the coalition itself?
Okay, let me start from the last question. What I make of the coalition is the fact that at least we are having a robust conversation about Nigeria. The political space, the democratic space is now being opened for more, engagement, which is very positive and good for our democracy and for our country in terms of its political, socio-economic and political development, which is okay. And I believe that the coalition will present a very good, give a very good account of themselves during the election. As per the membership of the CUPP, I can't confirm that now, because for us to be part of a process, there must have been a meeting, there must have been some level of decision making and the rest of that to formally be part of the coalition. But in principle, we believe in the coalition. That's what I can say for now.
Well, has there been any conversation at all, Comrade, about this coalition within the CUPP?
Well, yes, of course. There have been conversations, there have been deliberations, there have been, consultations ongoing. When it comes to the issue of coalition, it's an ongoing process. There are many people who probably will not start with the coalition at these initial stages, and then as the train moves on, more people will be coming on board. One thing that we are united in believing is the fact that the current government is not doing well, and something must be done about it to ensure that Nigerians have a better deal in 2027. So that's very, very important for all of us. So that in principle we support the coalition. As the conversations are ongoing, we probably will be active in the coalition. But for now, there has not been a decision as to what roles we are going to play in the coalition going forward. But we believe in principle there must be coalition, because Nigeria deserves a new direction. Nigeria deserves a new direction, away from the current road, away from the current order development, away from the skyrocketing inflation and the rest of that. So we believe that a coalition is necessary. We believe that a coalition is important. We believe a coalition of the people, but the biggest coalition is a coalition of Nigerians themselves, the voters coming together to form a new principle and a new direction to get Nigeria, to where it's supposed to be, and run away from the current underdevelopment and interrogation. So it's very, that is where we stand for now.
Comrade, I'm staying with you still, because for a lot of people, and even the president has also re-echoed that sentiment, that this are just this is a coalition, as it were, of retired politicians and aggrieved politicians whose sole aim is to unseat the president, and not necessarily because they care about the country, but because they just want to lay hold on power and grab it. And some Nigerians also share that sentiment, that this is really not about the country. It's really about, some personal interest. And I just want to get your reaction to that.
Well, that description is anomalous. It's anomalous in the sense that who is a retired politician? Who is the retired politician? That you are not in any political office does not make you retired. What was the office the current president was holding in 2014, 2013, 2014, going to the election where they brought together APC and won the election in 2015. So you don't say they are retired. These are active politicians. Yes, they are former this, X, that, and that. It doesn't make them retired politicians. So they are still, if they are retired politicians, you don't see them coming together, bringing people of such political muscles together, former attorney generals, former ministers, former governors, former diplomats, and rest of them coming together to form a coalition. You want to give a dog a bone in order to hang it. So,
but comrade, if you do not agree that they are retired, comrade,
is absolutely
just
anomalous.
A minute. If you do not agree that they are retired, I want to go to Dr. Fred in a minute, but I want to stay with you just also for a minute. If you do not agree that they are retired, do you also agree that perhaps they are aggrieved?
Is that question meant for me?
Yes, comrade.
Of course, every Nigerian is aggrieved about the socio-economic miasma that we have found ourselves in this country. Every Nigerian is aggrieved of the hunger, of the insecurity, of the bad governance and the corruption. Every Nigerian is aggrieved. So if they are aggrieved, they have a right to be aggrieved against bad governance, against corruption and insecurity and hunger in the land. That is that. I agreed that because most Nigerians, I dare say more than 90% of Nigerians are aggrieved at the current situation of the country, at an inflation rate that is going to 37% inflation rate. America is only at 9% and the Americans are shouting. But the beauty of it, the beauty of democracy is to have a government, a party in power, and to have a robust opposition, to criticize the government and bring out the best. Because opposition activism is not about running down the government. It's actually about bringing the best out of the government. And it will give us a better competitive election in 2027. And then, of course, this coalition is not the end of all. I believe other coalitions are still going to come up in some weeks or months to come, because the more the merrier, so that we'll be able to have a good competitive election in 2027 and let the best candidate win, in terms of the programs and the manifestos and the performances of this government. We campaign for it in 2027. The insecurity will campaign for it. The hunger in the land will campaign for it. Then it is now left for the coalition to develop a robust strategy, an active strategy that will be able to counter the humongous machine of the APC. Because the coalition must not be short on strategy. It must not be short. If the coalition is short on strategy and the propaganda machine to counter the APC, because everybody knows in this country that the APC is good in the areas of propaganda and strategy. So we must so the coalition must get its act right. It's important for the coalition to get its act right, because it's not going to be a tea party.
But I want Dr. Fred to react to some of the things you've said. Dr. Fred, you've heard the comrade. He talked about the motive for this coalition. He's quite against the use of the word retired politicians. He's agreed with the word aggrieved, but he said they are aggrieved against the prevailing circumstances in the country and not necessarily the president.
Even among the people, mobilizing for this coalition, they are not also too clear about their mission. Because we do know that the majority of them, they have their personal political interests. And very soon, the way they are going, I'm sure there will be an implosion in that coalition. Look at the people who are there. Meshi is there. Peter Obi is there, Atiku Abubakar is there, and a host of others. And I know for sure that each and every one of them, they have their own political ambition for 2027. But you see, this argument is anchored on one issue, which is the economy. And if you look at the economy today, Nigeria is moving forward. IMF just released a report recently to say that our country is doing well, we're in good standing, and that Mr. President should keep pushing and doing what he's doing, that in the very near future, Nigeria will bounce back to be the giant of Africa. That is the belief of all of us. For example, in Delta where I am, we have so much money now to use to develop our state. The governor now has a lot of money to give us infrastructure, and we're involved in mega infrastructures like never before. We didn't have that kind of money in the previous administration. This is because Mr. President was able to remove that fuel subsidy. And that money used to go to private pockets. And today, we are happy that the proceeds from oil, the proceeds from all the resources we have for this nation is being used now by all the states to develop their regions or their states. So it might take, by the time the fuel issue is resolved, which I know Mr. President is working very hard to resolve, when that one is taken care of and our Naira begin to gain more strength, there will be no need for coalition. And I'm sure before the election, some of these issues will be resolved by Mr. President. And the Nigerian will get to know that there is no need for any kind of coalition. By the way, what is the coalition all about? The previous administration, we had a president from the north who did his own bit and left. And now it is the turn of the southern part of the country. And our candidate for now is Mr. President, Bola Tinubu. And Bola Tinubu will do his 8 years tenure, clean and clear. It doesn't really matter whether the coalition, they are going to present a one tenure candidate from the south. That will not work because the machinery put in place now by Mr. President, that our economy is now running smoothly and we are making steady progress. We do not want to truncate it. We do not want a coalition that will come tomorrow and they bring back fuel subsidy again, remove the fuel subsidy, and then Nigerians will go back to the era of corruption where those billions of dollars from our oil proceeds is being pocketed by...
Let me quickly comment. Because you mentioned earlier the IMF report on the economy. That report was a very balanced report. It talked about of course, commended the favorables and some of the growth we've had in the country, but also highlighted the risk factors. It particularly, one of the weighty statements in that report is that some of the gains of this, the reforms have not trickled down, and then poverty is still at a very high level. On the weight of that statement, which the coalition continues to highlight, and then the caliber, quality of politicians in this coalition, you do not think that they pose a very strong competition to the APC in 2027?
I agree with you, Precious, that in every economic remodeling or economic reforms all over the world, if you look at the story, the history of China, Singapore, Dubai, and every other place where they had major economic reforms, there is usually time for pain. And that pain is what we are going through at this moment, and it's not going to be long. And that is the aspect that the IMF highlighted. That is being worked out. Mr. President is looking at that critically, and the entire structure of the government, both subnationals and the federal government, they meet at their own time to review their performances, and some of these issues will be corrected. That is not a major problem for us. Then the issue of calibers of people who are in the coalition, I agree with you that those people in the coalition, they have followers. There's no doubt about that. But you see, what we are looking at here as Nigerians is that what is best for our country? Do we have to take 3 steps forward and take 10 steps backward? That is what Nigerians will be looking at the election. And I think that Mr. President has performed tremendously well in terms of infrastructure development. If you see the spread of infrastructure in the north, in the south, and in the eastern part of Nigeria, you will give Mr. President praise that is quite doing well. And at the polls, what will resonate at the poll for Mr. President is his performance. He just finished his he just submitted his midterm report, and there you can see that a lot of projects have been commissioned across the country, including the FCC. And so all of this put together, by the end of this tenure, when we'll be going for campaign, it is the Mr. President's blueprint, his record, his track record, that will be speaking for him at the polls, not what the coalition will say.
Let me bring in Comrade Mark into the conversation. Comrade, Dr. Fred then mentioned something which a lot of people think would determine the viability of this coalition. He spoke to the faces of this coalition. You have the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who wants to run. He's always wanted to be president. He had about 8 million votes in the last election. You have Peter Obi, who was a Labour Party presidential candidate, having about 6 million votes in the last election. He achieved that just within 9 months. People think that if he's given the chance, he could do better. You have El-Rufai, who also has spoken to that kind of ambition some time ago. Amechi is there, who ran in the APC primaries. So when you have those people who have personal interest to be president, and then how do you manage that, especially for Peter Obi and Atiku? How do you manage that? And people say if you cannot manage that, then this coalition cannot stand.
Well, this is why I said the other time that the coalition must be top-notch in terms of strategy and propaganda. You see, the issue is this. All these variables are there. All these variables have always been present there before these people decided to come together. So they understand, they know. The scriptures says in I think Luke chapter 14, verse 28, Jesus Christ said, who among you want to build a tower will not sit down first and count the cost? I'm sure they have counted the cost politically, financially, materially, and in a way, and they know, they understand that there will be sacrifices. There will be sacrifices to be made. Only one person can be president at one time, and all of these people, they understand this very, very well. So I know they have all these variables are present before they decided to come together. Everyone must have decided, look, I'm going to make sacrifices there will be concessions here and there, and then the most important thing for them is that for them to come together to promote one candidate who they know will defeat the incumbent and then take Nigeria to the next level of development, progress, and security, peace, and progress in this country. That is what is most important. It is all about Nigeria. Nigeria needs a new direction, a totally new direction. Nigerians deserve and desire a new direction from the current rot of backwardness, corruption, and hunger in the land and insecurity. Whether people are being killed on the Plateau or in Benue, in Nasarawa, in Zamfara. These things must come to an end. Hunger must come to an end. Yes, people might start referring to IMF, the positive part of the report of the IMF, but IMF, go to the markets, hear from Nigerians on the street. That is where the assessments are. That is where you can get the real assessment about the socio-economic situation in the country. So, fine. One would not give the president F9 on the economy. Well, of course, maybe in very skeletal areas, maybe they are doing so. But in a wider way, the economy is still suffering. People are still very much hungry. A lot, food is so expensive. When we talk about good governance, we are talking about easy access to health is not there. Easy access to education, it is not there yet. Easy access to food security is not there. Social security is not there. Political security is not there. So I don't know what this government is going to campaign with in 2027. I don't know. If the economy continues to be the way it is, if the insecurity, if ISWAP and Boko Haram are still gaining strength by the day, I don't know what this government is going to campaign about in 2027. But of course, you see, the onus is on the opposition. I'll keep repeating. In the area of strategy, because we know how effective the APC can be when it comes to the issue of propaganda.
But Comrade Mark, in terms of
to manage the affairs of the coalition.
In terms of strategy, aren't the odds already against the coalition? Because right now, Dr. Fred also spoke to it. What you have is a major candidate from the north, and by an unspoken arrangement, it is not the turn of the north until like 2031. And so I'm not sure Nigerians, especially those in the south, want a northern president at this moment, because we have that unwritten arrangement. And then you also have a Peter Obi who can only have, for example, one tenure. Would he want one tenure? Would the Southeast want for 4 years? I mean, that looks like a strategy that might not necessarily work.
This turn-by-turn thing is an aberration. It's an aberration. We cannot sort of put the country in the straitjacket saying that the South must do this, the North must do that. So whatsoever the arrangements that will come out from the coalition, it will be to the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians. That's one thing I can assure you. And I have told you also that there will be other coalitions that will be coming up as the days go by. That's my belief. You understand? Well, I don't know where the conversations and the negotiations and discussions with the CPP will end, because the leadership must come together and agree where to go in terms of coalition, in terms of where to go politically in 2027. That has not been done. That has not been achieved yet. So I don't know when that is going to happen. Now, but turn by turn is not the issue. The issue is that who can best govern this country in a way that will be beneficial to everybody, irrespective of political parties you belong to, whether APC, PDP, NRM, SDP, or ADC. So what is important is that it's not about where you belong to politically. It's about, in fact, this one is not even about opposition. It's about the fact that this country needs a better deal, a new direction. And who can take us to a new direction? We have seen what APC can do. Thank God, my co-panelist said the president met a mess. And who created the mess? 8 years prior to his coming to power, it was a mess created by an APC president that now that the current president is now trying to fix, but which they are not, actually being successful about fixing. So he said he met a mess created 8 years by Buhari of the APC. And now the mess that he met on ground that he's trying to grapple with, we are not seeing the benefits yet. So it is important for Nigeria to decide in 2027 that, look, we need a better deal. We need to follow a new direction. So the ambitions of the people from the north of the south should not scuttle this coalition. If they allow their individual ambitions to scuttle this coalition, then that is their cup of tea. So, but I do know that these people are highly well-experienced politicians who have been part of the process from the beginning of this democracy, even before 1999. Some of them as far back as 1993. So they know what they are doing. Yes, some of them want to be president, but they know that only one person can be president at once. And I do know that all of them will come together to support that one candidate. Probably, we don't know. Look at Peter Obi now. Peter Obi was not a governor in 2023. He didn't have any coalition in 2023. They even accused him of not having structures. They alleged him of not having structures. But without structures, without being in office, having been governor for how many years before, look at what he did. Look at the magic, the kind of political, more or less a political revolution that he created. The obedient movement today remains the most organic, progressive political movement.
So let me bring in Dr. Fred into the conversation. I have about 5 more minutes, comrade. Dr. Fred, again, look at the numbers. Atiku 8 million in the last election, Obi 6 million. And Amechi was the second runner-up or first runner-up to the president in the primaries of the APC. And then you look at an El-Rufai who was very critical in the emergence of the president as the flag bearer for the party. That's the strong force to put together. I mean, the APC should be having sleepless nights, do you think?
I think you are right, Precious, because even though Mr. President is doing pretty well, that does not mean that we have to, relax. We are working. My friend who is there is talking about propaganda. We don't need propaganda for Mr. President to win in 2027. His performance will speak. That's what I keep saying. There's no propaganda. If the reason for forming the coalition is for propaganda purposes, it will not work. I agree that Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Amechi, they are quite strong Nigerians that are known in the political terrain and they have followers. But don't forget the fact that the PDP issue today that is burning the party, that is consuming that party, started when, Atiku ran in last time for presidency. The issue they were unable to resolve within the party has brought serious problems to that political party. And millions of Nigerians, even including non-PDP members, are angry about that development. Some are even saying that why can't Atiku Abubakar reconcile, build that party back? It was during his ambition for presidency that the party had that problem. Why is he running away from the party now to form coalition? Why can't he put the party back in order the way he met it in 2023? So apart from PDP members, there are even millions of Nigerians that are not even happy with the way he has abandoned the party. And having abandoned the party, that is not going to be a plus for him in the near future. Amechi has been out of the political scene for quite some time because of the presidential issue that occurred in 2023. He refused to play active politics even up to now. And then he abandoned his followers for so long. So now that he's coming back after 2 years, most of his followers too, they have aligned with the APC. So also the issue of Peter Obi, the obedience that we know before, the strength of the obedience that we know in 2023 is no longer the obedience that we know today because of the crisis that has bedeviled that Labour Party. Labour Party is splitted and there is leadership problem like they have in the PDP. So, and those problems have also made a majority of the members of the obedient to join the APC. So that argument will not hold this time around. And coupled with the fact that Mr. President is doing pretty well, we are very sure that landslide victory awaits us in 2027. Mr. President will beat them hands down. Mark my words. Keep this program video. When we win in 2027, please play it back.
So just before we go, let me ask a final question to you, and then let me begin with Comrade, and then I'll come to you, Dr. Fred. We have just about 2-3 minutes left. Comrade, I also just wanted to ask you, the possibility of this this coalition being able to galvanize Nigerians' support for it just before the election. People have their reservations. People are watching with keen interest. Some people are already saying, look, this is not the kind of coalition we need. Some members of the obedient movement are already asking Peter Obi to pull out, that this is not in his best interest if he's not going to be the candidate, and if he's not, they are also going to pull out. I just wanted to speak to what you think might likely happen in terms of the success rate of this particular coalition, and how they are going to be able to galvanize the support of Nigerians just 2 years ahead of the election.
Well, one thing that will work for the coalition is the fact that they have astute and practical politicians like Malame Rufai and His Excellency Rotimi Amechi, Atiku Abubakar, and co, all these people coming together. They are astute and practical politicians. All these issues that we are raising, they will sit down around the table and resolve them one by one. These are not going to be they are not going to pose any challenges to them. So they know, they are aware of these challenges. They know how to resolve, how to go about it and resolve it, and have have one front in terms of how the coalition will go. I believe that because of their experiences, because of their expertise in politics, because of their expertise in governance, and their experiences in the socio-political journey of Nigeria, they will be able to manage whatever differences will come out of it, and they will support one candidate to be able to contest against the president in 2027. And of course, other candidates too will rise from other political parties. And when we are talking about crisis in Labour Party and crisis in PDP, all of us in Nigeria know that it is about the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob, creating crisis in this political party. But Nigeria will survive. What is important is that Nigeria will make progress. Nigeria, our country, all of us must work together to ensure that the interests of us and generations unborn, irrespective of political interest and power interest, we must be able to come together and work for the progress, for the peace, for the security of this country. Nigeria will get there one day. And I believe in 2027, a political revolution will take place that will change the status quo and give Nigerians a better deal and a totally new direction for Nigeria. Let us
Dr. Fred, sorry, Comrade, I have to put you on hold. Dr. Fred, I just also want to get your final word on this as well, and how the APC is gearing up for the competition that this coalition might pose.
Well, I am very confident that the coalition will explode very soon. That is one. Two, Mr. President is doing pretty well. Nigerians, they love his political willpower. What is important in every good leader is that willpower to do that which is right. And since he came to power, Mr. President has exhibited that skill, that capacity to take decisions that will remodel our economy, grow the economy, and then stabilize our polity. He's a great leader, and Nigerians are waiting for 2027 to vote Mr. President again for the second term.
Well, it's not time for campaign yet, Dr. Fred. When that time comes, I'm sure we'll have you over and over again. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We've been speaking with the National Spokesperson Coalition of United Political Parties, Comrade Mark Adebayo, and the Director General, Delta State Orientation and Communications Bureau, Dr. Fred Ogenesive. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I will take a break now and return with another topic in just a moment. Stay with us.